Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gaming Mix podcast, your official podcast from analogstickgaming.com. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jordan, one of the co-owners of Analog Stick Gaming, and to my right, as always, we have the founder himself, Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff?
Hashtag bring back Kyrie.
We will talk about that very shortly, but as you can see from today's thumbnail, our main gaming topic will be on the masses of Xbox news this week, and we'll get to that. But as you know, if you've been here a while, myself and Jeff are also big WWE fans, and very recently there was obviously WrestleMania. We did predictions for that you would have seen after WrestleMania, but it's interesting to see how kind of some of our predictions were pretty close to what actually happened in some ways, and then we were very far out in other ways. But we're going to talk a bit about WrestleMania and the fallout over the last week as well, because not all of the news in the land of wrestling and WWE right now is very good. So should we jump into that, Jeff?
Yeah, sure. So we'll go over WrestleMania there. All right. So we'll kind of go in the order that the site's going here. So we had LA Knight and the Usos versus Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and IShowSpeed. Basically, the LA Knight and the Usos beat Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and IShowSpeed because IShowSpeed hesitated on a move after throwing LA Knight into Logan Paul, and then that escalated into basically IShowSpeed kind of joining alongside the Usos for beating up everybody. Like IShowSpeed did a big jump over on Logan Paul and the table, and then that led to like more chaos. So it was a pretty entertaining match, but it did feel a lot like filler just to kind of get like some cheap pops out of it than actually
I agree,
providing a good match.
but I think that was why it had a good place on the card as well, right? Of like, just get it out the way, have the celebrity match, get the cheap pops, get the people in who maybe don't traditionally watch wrestling, and then bring the heavy hitters later on. I think that was a good idea.
We had Jacob Fatu, who defeated Drew McIntyre in the unsanctioned match. The only issue I had with this match is it really didn't feel violent for
I agree.
match. Like it should have been, almost like a bloody affair. It should have been like far more violent. They should have gone into like maybe the back and throwing shit and doing every stuff. But I mean, it was an okay match, and it was there to get Jacob Fatu over because they're really going to be pushing him hard.
Yes.
And Drew's off to film Highlander or continuing to film Highlander or whatever the case is. There's been conflicting reports of what he's filmed, what he hasn't filmed yet. It wasn't too bad. Then we had the match that was spoiled prior to WrestleMania, and that was the Fatal 4-Way women's tag match. The moment it was announced that Paige was going to be coming back, it was pretty much predetermined that they were going to win the title, and they did. They pinned Alexa Bliss after some interference outside and whatnot. And Paige is back in the WWE, and she's now one half of the tag team champions.
And I have to say, to give Paige some credit for a minute, she looked really good in the ring. Like, she did well, considering that, yes, okay, she did wrestle a little bit over in AEW over the last few years, but she hasn't wrestled properly for quite a long time at this point, and she looked like she didn't miss a step, so credit to her. I also think that it's one of those things where it's like, it's unfortunate because I would have liked to have seen what her return was going to be had Nikki Bella not been injured for this match, because I suspect that Paige would have had something very different to do. But yeah,
there was a lot of steps that went into Paige returning that are a result of that injury, because she ran into Nikki at the same like rehab kind of clinic or not rehab, but rehabilitation type of thing for an injury like that. So there's a lot of connective things of how everything kind of came together. But
So maybe it was just good timing, for
yeah, like
Paige.
there were phone calls made and all sorts of stuff that kind of led to it. But yeah, her return was leaked prior to WrestleMania going
Yes.
live.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's a shame because that would have been a big moment if it wasn't
yeah,
leaked.
and it actually led to my favorite WrestleMania moment, which was Wade Barrett or something like that was saying, and no one could have seen this coming, and then it cuts to this sign in the audience that says "Welcome Home, Paige."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that was whoever cut to that, like
Yeah.
immediately after Wade said it, just give them a raise. That was
I
so
have to
good.
say, just while we're on the subject of Wade Barrett, the commentary between him and Michael Cole over the entire course of WrestleMania was brilliant, in my opinion. They did
Yeah,
a really good job together. They had a really strong chemistry, and yeah, they had some brilliant moments.
yeah. Then we had the women's intercontinental championship match, which was way too short and way too predictable. I mean, Becky Lynch taking the win on there.
Yeah,
It wasn't a great match. I don't think it was the strongest that we've seen out of the two ladies. It just felt way too short. I mean, a lot of matches felt too short. There were several matches that were under 10 minutes, and
they
which,
were they were more focused on advertising the Hulk Hogan documentary on
well,
Netflix.
see, here's the thing, and why I didn't really mind the ad breaks, because normally when it comes to WrestleMania or any PLE, between matches, you get those 4 or 5 minute recaps of how we got here. They didn't do
Yeah,
that. They replaced them with the ads.
yeah,
So we were still going to get breaks in between the matches anyways, and I'd rather just have the commercials than the footage they've shown on SmackDown and Raw 30 times prior. Like if I have to
yes,
see the same like little promo or like promotional package whatever a billion times, I don't like it.
yeah.
You
That's
know.
fair.
Then we had Gunther versus Seth Rollins. Basically, Gunther defeated Seth Rollins because Braun Breaker showed back up and speared him so hard that Braun Breaker flipped over and kicked Seth Rollins in the eye and it gave him a shiner. Yeah. And then we had the Women's World Championship match with Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. I don't think this match showed Stephanie that well.
No, I don't either.
Stephanie is an absolutely fantastic wrestler, and I think this match was just kind of like underdeveloped to kind of
Yes,
show the strength of it, because like you knew Liv Morgan was going to win this title, but they didn't do a good job at convincing me otherwise.
yeah, hmm
Um, but we had Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton with a kind of unpredictable end, just because of several things that Pat McAfee was saying before match. But
yeah,
apparently, he took a lot of it personal and basically told TKO and WWE that nope, write me out. I don't
yeah.
want to be part of this anymore.
And I do want to say credit to Pat if that is the case, because Pat, people forget as much as there's been a negative reaction around him recently. Pat is actually a huge fan of wrestling, and I think that for him, when he came out and saw so much negativity towards him being involved, he probably would have realized that it was the right thing to step away and not be part of this storyline going forward,
Yeah,
you know?
but
And I think that's part of the reason that that match opened up the way it did, was kind of to get Pat out of the way, for the majority of the match. So,
yeah. So Cody retained, but he suffered a major eye injury due to the punt kick that Orton did, and following up on Raw and SmackDown, yeah, Cody's eye is just black.
yes.
Um, yeah, so like that was night one. Night one, I would give probably like a B plus.
Yeah.
Like it was fine. There was nothing terribly offensive about night one. It
I would
just
say it
was
felt a
a
bit
lot of
underwhelming.
yeah, it was a lot of undercooked matches that just did not have time to really shine.
Yeah.
Um, and to WWE's credits, I mean, I don't think it was a reaction because you plan all this stuff way in advance. Night 2 was drastically better.
Yes.
Drastically better.
Answer
Banter,
agrees.
stop barking. You stop
He
barking.
agree.
Stop your boofs.
He agrees. That's why the bark came out.
Yeah. So what is your problem? All right. So night 2 opened up with Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar, and this is, I think, the second time in Brock Lesnar's career where he pretty much has been squashed. This match made Obafemi look like an absolute star, and then we had Brock Lesnar apparently retire in the ring.
And that was a surprise. And apparently there is some reports that was on an on-the-fly thing, and they didn't know Brock was going to do that.
Well, apparently 4 people knew. I don't know exactly who the 4 people were, but apparently Brock had planned for Oba to be the final person, and now there's reports stating that they're going to bring Brock back for the match against Gunther at SummerSlam as like he's forced into it or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know the truth behind that because Brock did
I mean,
an
I
interview
know.
later on and mentioned
Yeah.
that he knows people want him back for one match, but he said he's done.
Yeah. I mean, either way, if that was Brock's way of going out, massive credit to him. I will say that it felt like the end. I've never seen Brock that emotional about anything. And I think that part of that emotion probably comes from the fact that he had such a strong positive reaction at the end of that match. And that's not something we've always seen for Brock in the past, So
Yeah.
so I'm happy for him. I think he did the right thing. He basically made Obafemi the next Brock Lesnar on his way out.
He did a fantastic job. That match was, I think, everything it needed to be. Yeah. So then we had the extremely predictable Intercontinental Championship ladder match, which had absolutely no build up. So yeah, of course.
I will say it was a fun match though. There was some cool stuff that happened.
I swear to God, JD Madonna died on that fucking ladder.
I'm pretty sure Michael Cole literally said he's dead, in the commentary.
Like, oh my God. Then we had a extremely underwhelming United States Championship match between Trick Williams and Sami Zayn. First off, Trick Williams just did his SmackDown entrance. There was no difference whatsoever other than
apart from the really long coat,
the 500-foot long toilet paper that everybody's been recreating on TikTok and whatnot. This match was not terribly great. It didn't really do anything to kind of create suspense. It was nice that Trick won the belt and stuff, but it just wasn't a great showing. And I think it just could be that I'm incredibly over Sami Zayn. Like I think Trick has fantastic ring work. His charisma is just completely off the chart. Like he's an absolutely fantastic talent. And I think this match would have been so much better if it was Carmelo versus Trick. I think it just would have been so much better.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one because I think part of the reason, and this is just me speculating, having watched WWE for a really long time, I think part of the reason Sammy was in there is because perhaps they felt like Trick needed someone with more experience in the ring with him for his first Mania.
But the thing is that Trick and Mello have a huge history.
I agree.
So they could pull off an absolutely fantastic match.
Yeah. I agree. And from a match point of view, Trick and Mello definitely would have been a better match. But I just wonder whether, because even for me, and maybe it's just me projecting my own feelings about Trick onto WWE, but as much as I like Trick and I like his charisma and I think he's decent in the ring, I do have some apprehension over whether he can actually be that star that they think he can be. Because right now I'm kind of the mind of like, is he just over and just popular because of an entrance and a chant,
Oh,
Like,
I think he's doing a good job, and honestly, I think this match was the match was literally just to plant the seeds of Sammy going heel.
yeah, probably. Good point.
I think that
Good
that
point.
was pretty much all that he did, and they honestly they just could have done that on SmackDown.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Then we had the Demon versus Dominic Mysterio. This was a really good match. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah,
And the entrance for the Demon was strong. It was a good match. It was really
yeah,
good, and it was good to see Finn Balor get the main stage again and to get a win.
yes. Yeah, and also the way in which, yes, I know it was Mania, so they always present things specially at Mania, but the way in which they presented and even spoke about Finn as the demon on commentary, it made me feel like Finn at some point this year is probably going to get a push again. I
Yeah,
don't know
I hope
whether he's just earned their trust in like having a relatively injury-free time for quite a long period now, because I know that one of their concerns in the past was like every time we give you a push, you get injured, and then
so.
that kind of But maybe he's over that now. Um, yeah, I think this was a good match and well done to both men involved. I think that, I've said it for a while, but Dominic Mysterio in a few years' time is probably going to be one of the top stars in the entire company, you know? So, yeah, really good job from them both.
Next we had was Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill. This was a pretty good match. It was pretty decent.
Yeah,
Rhea did everything to make Jade look good, and I think this is probably the best Jade has looked.
I agree.
But I think putting the title on Rhea just kind of like creates more, I think, pleasing encounters because like now we have JC Jane
Yeah.
on there. We're gonna have Blake
And that
Monroe.
was really good. That was
Yeah,
really good on
JC
SmackDown.
JC is a fantastic worker. She sells so well.
Yeah.
Um,
And the
and
fact that they're
and
immediately pushing her into that picture tells you how much they believe in her.
yeah, and
So
they finally have like a really good heel because that was the loudest booing I think I've heard in WWE in a long time.
I agree.
Yeah. And then we had Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, which was
The
I think
best match of WrestleMania, I think.
one of the best matches I think over the past year. This match was absolutely fantastic. It was reported to go either way, but I think
Yeah.
they did a really good job in like, CM Punk like almost like clearly winning at the end, and then his
Yeah.
body just gives out, and then just
Yeah.
spear, and he's done.
And I think that was the thing. They managed to achieve something in this match that I didn't think they could achieve, which was they made both men look stronger coming out of it, despite the fact that one of them had to lose. Like, and I think that's why you're now seeing they're clearly teasing something with Cody and CM Punk.
I
And
think
it's,
I think they almost might do SummerSlam. I think for Cody and Punk.
yeah, yeah. So credit to both of those men. It was an amazing match. I would have been happy to see it go either way. I think that making Roman the champion, especially given what Roman said on
Post show.
Raw following Mania
Oh, yeah.
about kind of going full time and all these sorts of things and all the things he was going to talk about. If this is Roman's final full time run, so to speak, within the WWE, I think he's earned the right for that run to be as the champion, right? And I also think that letting Roman finally have a run as the champion where he is actually a face and people are actually cheering him rather than him being an out and out heel. That's why I think this dynamic they're doing with Jacob Fatu is really interesting because neither of them is a heel, really.
Yeah, it's hard to say how they'll do Roman going forward because it almost seems like he's setting the bloodline up again, and that's not a face faction.
No. No, but then I guess it's not but then it was for a brief moment in time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so they could do some interesting stuff with it. I mean, I hope that if they're going down the bloodline route again, I hope that it's not, hey, let's put these guys against the MFTs again. You know, let's, like, if you're going to do that again, at least do something different with them. At least handle it differently. Do something a little bit different.
Well, thankfully they're on different shows, so
Yes, yeah. But then, you know, we'll talk about it in a second, but the MFT's biggest rivals are now no longer with the company. So,
yeah. So yeah, like we had some releases that came out pretty much about just before SmackDown or just after SmackDown,
yeah.
where Kairi Sane was let go, Aleister Black and Selena Vega were let go, all of the Wyatt Six were let go. Yeah, like and Kairi was part of a storyline with Asuka in EO. Like they just have to drop that
Literally
now.
as recently as last Monday Night Raw, right?
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. There's a huge movement right now to get Kyrie back. So I mean, we could see Kyrie back in the next couple days due to the pressure for it. But yeah, Aleister Black, they pushed him into the Karrion Cross and Scarlet kind
And
of
I feel really
feud.
sorry for him because he was supposed to be the Pat McAfee originally. Like,
Yeah,
so he was actually supposed to be part of the biggest storyline, arguably going into Mania, and
yeah,
yet he didn't get that role. And then right after Mania, he gets released. I know that there is some speculation that the reason he was released was basically because they got rid of Selena Vegas and maybe he asked to leave because obviously that is his wife. But I feel sorry for him because I think that he had the charisma and he had the in-ring ability to be a very good star for them,
yeah.
a
Like
useful star.
he'll probably start doing like the Karrion Cross thing because, as far as I know, AEW doesn't have any interest in bringing him back, and everybody's got non-compete clause and stuff, and they got rid of Santo Escobar, and he's injured, which it
Yes.
is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, these releases really suck, especially the Kairi Sane one, just because like Kairi was fantastic. She was like one of the highlights of a personality within the brand.
I agree. I completely agree. And I thought that they were setting up Kyrie in a weird way. I thought they were setting up Kyrie to almost take over from Asuka, right? Like
Well,
in a weird way.
my guess was that they were probably building up um Io Sky versus Asuka, maybe a backlash, and then Kyrie would snap on Asuka and cost Asuka the match, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
go and team back with Io.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll bring her back. And this is the thing. This is the one thing I will say about wrestling is releases are never final, right? Like we've seen before, people get released and within 6 months they're back. You know, like sometimes it's a weird, like, oh, financial quarter type of thing where weird stuff happens. Like I remember Bronson Reed got released, and then I think 3 months later he was back in WWE. It was so there are occasions where these releases are not necessarily final. I do feel really sorry for the Wyatts, and the reason I say that is I think they fumbled the Wyatt Six massively because the way that they debuted them was amazing. And then they basically did nothing with them after that. And that was the
Yeah, they had
problem.
like 3 months of chasing that fucking lantern with the MFTs, and it
Yeah.
it didn't really do much. I know they also let go the Motor City Machine Guns, which they were starting to do something
Yeah.
with Johnny Gargano
Yeah.
and
And also every time they were in the ring, they were good. That's what I don't get about their release. It's like
yeah, it's like
they're
why did you get rid of the Motor City Machine Guns and not get rid of the guys that have the scars across their chest or whatever?
oh yeah, the ones who never wrestle.
Get rid of those guys. Like honestly, get rid of those guys and keep the Motor City Machine Gun.
Because also you would have thought this is the thing, right? With someone like the Motor City Machine Guns, they are veterans of the industry. Even if you're not going to use them on main roster, why don't you kick them down to NXT and have them help out the younger guys? because I
Now,
guarantee you
it
they've
could
got
just
the
be a budget
experience
thing.
to
Like
do that.
maybe their costs are like 30% more than
Yeah,
the
true.
those
That's
other
a good
guys.
point. That's a good point. I mean, it's just a shame because when a company, as we say about the same that we say with job losses in the games industry, right? WWE, I know that WrestleMania ticket sales and stuff didn't go as well for them as they would have liked.
Well, they said it was one of the highest grossing WrestleManias of all time.
But this is what I was going to say. But they are still making more money than they've ever made before. And yet they're still constantly cutting people. And what frustrates me more is they cut people, but then I guarantee you that over the next few months, we'll see several returns, debuts, and different things. So it's like you
Yeah,
cut people,
well,
but then bring other people in.
here's the thing on that though. They have to be forward thinking. So what
Yeah,
they essentially do is they go, okay, we're going to be cutting our budget down to about 85% of operational because we're going to have 15% added once we do these returns in June and then these returns in August and yada yada yada.
yeah,
So it's not
yeah,
that they're sitting at that level and then going a little bit higher because of those returns. They've planned that stuff
yeah.
months in advance.
That's true. That's true. So it's kind of like they know that they need the budget leeway in a few
Yeah.
months' time.
Because I
So
mean, like,
yeah,
we have Ricky Saints who's going to be coming over, Joe Henry that's going to be coming over,
yeah.
Blake Monroe's going to be coming, or Jason
Obviously,
Lee, and all of Beta
Ethan
Lynn's
Page now
points.
on Raw as well.
Ethan Page is on there. Like they need to have Chelsea Green go to Raw so she can be there with Ethan Page because they
That
let
would
go
be
of Alba
really cool.
Fire. Like
Yeah,
there's no more the Secret Service. That's done.
yeah, yeah. That's very true. Actually, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah,
So Alba Fire is probably going to go where Isla Dawn was and then wrestle probably there.
I would imagine so. I would imagine so. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a good time in wrestling recently. In terms of, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with various storylines they have right now. But
Yeah.
I'm disappointed at just how many releases there were. Like the number of
Yeah,
releases
23.
shocked me.
I
Like
mean,
there's always some, right? There's always some, especially post Mania. They've kind of become a thing, but that many is probably more than I can ever remember. Like other than maybe in the COVID times where there was that one really bad day where they released like a quarter of their wrestlers or
yeah.
something.
But see, like it's just like the Kyrie thing bugs me. It's like you have what is it, Tagawa or whatever,
Yeah.
but he's not really doing anything other than being like
Yeah.
the odd little match that they have on like main event or whatever. Like
Yeah.
there's so many people that they could have got rid of, but
I
Kyrie is
guess
literally a top performer.
I guess again it's one of those things like you mentioned though, right? Is to a certain extent they need bodies because they need people who can lose matches. And it's probably more cost effective for them to cut someone like Kyrie than it is to have to cut four jobbers to make up the same amount of money, because they would have been on different money. So,
Oh,
but we'll keep an eye on it. We will keep an eye on it. I am glad. What I will say from a gamer perspective is I'm glad that these releases happened after Mania, so that pretty much all of these people are still in the video game. So that's nice. But now, talking of gaming, I think that we should get to some gaming news because there's been a lot of Xbox news this week, and we should definitely talk about it, Jeff.
yeah. So I've got a few stories here that I don't know what banter is doing on here. Hey, that's not your toy, buddy. All right. So, yeah, I've condensed a bunch of news into kind of like almost like two articles, which I'll kind of do back to back just because then we could just talk about everything because a lot of it kind of connects and is
I
interconnected,
agree. Yeah.
keeps that going. So this is a bit of a longer one. It's condensed through the news article from VGC. So definitely seek them out if you want to read the full article with all the quotes from Ashna Sharma and Matt Booty, who were recently in an interview. So let's go over all of that right now. So Xbox's leadership team has spoken more about the future of exclusive games on the platform following this week's staff letter claiming it would reevaluate its strategy. Since 2024, Xbox has increasingly released its first party games on Sony's PlayStation 5 console as its own hardware sales lag far behind the rival. However, its release cadence has been inconsistent, with some games releasing later on PS5 and others arriving simultaneously alongside Xbox console versions. Speaking in a new interview with GameFile, Microsoft's new gaming CEO, Asha Sharma, and Chief Content Officer Matt Booty were asked to elaborate on some of the broad commitments made in this week's letter, notably that exclusivity reevaluation. The pair indicated they will take their time considering the future strategy for Xbox game releases and that no announcement was imminent. These are long term decisions, the like long swinging decisions that have decade long impact. Sharma said, "It takes a while to create games, and so that the team's been through it takes a while to create great games, and so the team's been through a lot of cycles. I don't think it's helpful to unpack those. I wasn't here. We'll take a data-driven approach and a strategic-driven approach, and then we'll look at our principles and we'll make some calls. So we'll share more when we're ready, and we know it's an important decision to have." Pushed for a time frame on how long it would take for the new hardware or for the new leadership team to establish a firm multi-platform strategy, the CEO said, "Nothing we're ready to commit to." It's been 60 days, Sharma added. These are decade-long decisions from long before. These are very consequential decisions. I want to make the right decision, not the fastest one. The gaming boss added that she's heard all the feedback, from core fans disappointed by the removal of exclusive games. We're listening to all the feedback, and we're looking at a lot of things on that. In this week's letter to staff, Sharma and Booty said they intended to fortify Game Pass with clear differentiation and sustainable economics, days after it reduced prices on some tiers and then removed new Call of Duty games from appearing day one. Asked to clarify what it means to fortify the service, Sharma said that she wanted more players who love the subscription, that are staying longer, and that are happy. We've been thinking about Game Pass in two steps. One is just, let's make sure it's affordable, which we've recently addressed. The second is, what does value look like 8 years after the advent of Game Pass and the world changing around us and the next generation coming online? And so we're exploring a number of different things. Nothing more to share that I haven't already, and we'll share them as they come, and we'll test and learn together with the community. The second news article states Microsoft's new gaming CEO, Asha Sharma, has shared a mission statement for the future of Xbox and confirmed that the platform holder is re-evaluating game exclusivity. In a message sent to Xbox employees worldwide and published on the company's website, Sharma and Chief Content Officer Matt Booty outlined the future objectives for the Xbox brand and confirmed that as part of its changes, the Microsoft gaming division will be rebranded back to just Xbox. The pair said the new North Star for Xbox will be daily active players and indicated it will execute its new plan through four priorities: hardware, content, experience, and services. Notably, the leadership team claimed that along the way, we will reevaluate our approach to exclusivity, windowing, and AI, and share more as we learn and decide. While the latter letter makes no firm commitments, it indicates that Sharma is listening to the Xbox players who feel the platform has lost its value due to Microsoft's decision to bring its first party games to PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch 2. While there have been signs that the strategy has been successful for Xbox, Forza Horizon 5 alone is estimated to have sold more than 5 million copies alone on PS5. It's possible it could consider adding value to its console by implementing timed exclusivity, as it's done with the upcoming Forza Horizon 6. I got a little bit left here. As it continued its push towards becoming a multi-platform business, Xbox released 6 titles for PS5 in 2025, with more planned for later this year. However, it's been inconsistent with its release strategy, with some games arriving later on PS5, like Indiana Jones and Avowed, and others releasing on day one, like The Outer Worlds 2 and the upcoming Fable. The letter opens up with an admission that Xbox has work to do. Players are frustrated. It says nothing, noting criticism of less frequent feature drops. Our presence on PC isn't strong enough. Pricing is getting harder for people to keep up, and the core experiences like search, discovery, social, and personalization still feel too fragmented. Developers and publishers are asking for more too: better tools, better insights, and a platform that helps them grow faster. Console is at the foundation, delivering a premium experience, and cloud brings that experience to any device. You can play anywhere you want. Your games, your progress, friends, and identity stay with you across console, PC, mobile, and cloud. Xbox will be built to be affordable, personal, and open. We will open flexible pricing so it's easier to get started and keep playing. The experience will adapt to you, letting you customize how you play, helping you find what you love, and connecting you with the right people. Finally, earlier this week, Xbox slashed the price of its highest tier for Game Pass subscription, Game Pass Ultimate, and PC Game Pass, with Sharma claiming that the service has become too expensive for players. The platform holder also removed future Call of Duty launches from Game Pass, with analysts speculating that its inclusion into the service has made little impact on subscriber numbers. Xbox is a complex business with multiple elements that can, at times, conflict with one another. I've long asked the question, what is the primary goal? Is it subscribers, console owners, game sales, or, well, the answer is actually far broader. It's daily active players. This will focus everything the company does. It does suggest a focus on live service and multiplayer experiences, which might trouble some fans, but this has been an area that Xbox has specialized in since the first Halo. And as an analyst and journalist, I feel I have more clarity on what Xbox actually is in 2026. So, yeah, this is a lot to unpack because they've made a lot of, I think, very bold statements here, and
Mhm.
the ability to reflect and know that they are not doing a good job for their customers.
Yes.
And Sharma is right now saying everything you possibly could to alleviate that concern and to show that Xbox is going to listen to its fans. It is going to reevaluate what the brand means. And the fact of changing it back to Xbox,
Yeah.
that is huge. Reducing the price of Game Pass, that is huge. Sure,
Mhm.
it takes Call of Duty out of it for the year. Those titles will arrive a year later, but it does put Xbox, I think, in the right spot, and the
Mhm.
ability to actually right a lot of wrongs that have been left kind of, in front of her essentially
Yeah.
to kind of address and fix.
Well, so I have a lot to say on this, so please forgive me if I go on a bit of a rant here.
Yeah.
But as you'll remember, Jeff, I said it might have been on the last episode, it might have been on the one before, but I talked about how on the exclusivity problem specifically, all they really need is clarity, one way or the other. All they really need is absolute clarity about what direction they want to go in, and people will accept that and move on. The problems they're having now are to do with that lack of clarity, which is mentioned here, right? About how there's inconsistency where some games come day one, some games come later, some games haven't come across to other platforms at all, things like that, right? This, when we hear about them reevaluating the exclusive situation, I think that's the best answer they could give right now,
Mhm.
because I think that's them saying we hear you and we know that it's an issue for some of you, but we still need to look at the data and decide what the best decision is for the platform as a whole and
Yeah.
for what our goal is, right? Um, I still speculate, and this is just speculation on my part. I don't think that we're ever going to see the return of full exclusivity on the Xbox platform, because I think that that just isn't, that seemingly isn't in line with what they're trying to build, especially when we hear that their focus is on daily active users, which I'll talk more about in a minute. But unless if they had come out and said, yeah, our focus is selling on the like being the best hardware, that would completely change the conversation and what I think. But the fact their focus is on daily active users suggests to me that I I think what they might try and do is come out and basically say, hey, all the games that we have already announced as coming to PlayStation will come to PlayStation. Because I looked into which ones are officially announced as coming to PlayStation. The only one currently that has a release window that isn't officially announced as coming to PlayStation is Gears of War E-Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see them doing something where they say, yeah, Halo's going to come because we said it would. Forza's going to come because we said it would. Fable's going to come because we said it would. But from Gears of War E-Day onwards, everything will be a minimum 1 year exclusive.
Especially when you have Forza 5, which is already years old, selling 5 million copies on PlayStation.
Yeah.
You ain't keeping that shit off of it. Like
I
Forza
agree.
6 will definitely come to PlayStation and sell probably 6 or 7 million.
Yeah. And I think that, so what they'll do is, I think the reset point and the best middle ground is, we will give our core audience a year of exclusivity where that gives our platform some value. Because let's be honest, Jeff, how many gamers are really going to wait a year to actually play something they really want to play? There aren't but there aren't that many.
Well, there'll be a certain extent, because take a look at like Final Fantasy Rebirth sales on PlayStation 5. They were short because people were like, that shit's coming to PC, I'll just wait.
That's true.
Right? So there is that audience there that is fine waiting, because we're fucking eating right now. There are so many games that
there's so many games.
You know, like, friggin' what's that? Windrose or whatever, like that pirate game.
Yeah.
You know, if it eventually comes 1.0 to PlayStation or Xbox or whatever like that, I'll fucking wait.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. I'm not saying, to be clear, I'm not saying there aren't people that will wait. But what I'm saying is, the people that really want to play something where it's like a highly anticipated game for them, they're not going to wait a year to play it. Whereas if they know it might come day one, they're going to wait, right? Because they won't have an incentive to get your platform. Whereas with that year of exclusivity, even though it's not full exclusivity, you open up the possibility of people being like, do you know what? Considering the offering of Game Pass, which has now improved, with the added benefit of things will be at least a 1 year exclusive, then I will go over there because there are benefits to going over there.
Yeah.
Whereas without any exclusivity, that isn't the case. I think that if we're being absolutely realistic, I think that is the best we can really hope for. Because as you said, something like a Forza Horizon 5 as a 4 to 5 year old game sold 5 million copies, and they sold it at full price. They didn't even discount the price. That's what people forget. They sold it like it was a brand new AAA game, and it still sold 5 million copies. So that game made I guarantee you that game covered its development costs entirely just from the PlayStation release of the game, you know? So it's like,
remember, Xbox doesn't have games. That's what PlayStation fans have told us.
Yeah. Well, so what I would say is, Asher Sharma, Matt Booty, doing a lot of the right things right now, reevaluating stuff, and yes, follow the data and make the correct decisions. If the data is showing you right now that the majority of games that you're porting to PlayStation don't actually sell that well, maybe you don't send them over there. But because another option of what I could see them potentially considering is, I could see them doing something like full exclusivity for single player only games, and then timed exclusivity for games that include some sort of multiplayer component.
Yeah.
That's because I think of something like Indiana Jones that didn't actually sell that well on PlayStation. And it's like, so they possibly would have benefited more from keeping it as an exclusive. But they'll look into all of this, and that's the key thing right now.
Yeah.
Is, to me, what's really positive about this is at least they're recognizing we need to look at all this stuff and reevaluate what we really want to be. And like you mentioned, right, they've binned off the Microsoft gaming thing. It's now back to Xbox, and I think that signifies they're putting the focus back on Xbox as the platform, which is a good thing. But I also, where this frustrates me though, is with all of this information that's come out, there's been a lot of reports that the reason they've been allowed to do this is because the people like Satya Nadella and Amy Hood have basically taken away the requirement for them to need to make 30% profit on everything. So it's given them more flexibility to do stuff. And my question would be, why didn't you just allow the previous leadership this same freedom? You know, why is it that you had to let things get so bad before you went, oh, we've messed up here? Like, because that's what this feels like right now. It feels like them coming out and saying, look, we know we've messed up, and therefore we're having a big reevaluation right now about what we actually want Xbox to be and what Xbox means. I do think one of the best things they've done, though, is they've come out and said our focus is daily active users, right? And the reason I think that that's one of the best things they could ever do is because one of the problems that Xbox has struggled with over the last decade or so is the media, and by extension, the general customer, hasn't understood what they're trying to achieve. Because it's like, are you trying to get the biggest subscription service in the world? Are you trying to be the best selling box? Are you trying to do this? Are you trying to do that? And that's why a lot of their stuff gets criticized, because people couldn't see clearly what they were aiming for. It was kind of, people were all guessing of like, no, this is their focus or that's their focus. And nobody really knew, right? Whereas when people know, they can now look at their decisions and they can go, okay, even when they don't agree with something, they can go, I don't agree with this, but I understand why you've made this decision based on what your focus is as a platform. And that, I think, just from a perceptional standpoint within the media and the wider consumer base, does a lot of heavy lifting. When people can actually understand what you're aiming for and what your goal is, I think it helps a lot, personally. So I'm excited to see. I know they said that there's nothing kind of imminent about this, but you know, I hope that it's not something that takes too long, if that makes sense. Just because I think that if they haven't made this decision in another 6 months, I think people will get fed up of waiting, you know, because people want clarity as soon as possible. So I understand that they need time to still continue evaluating it. But in my mind, they need to give, when it comes to their summer showcase in the start of June, they need to give some sort of indication there about the direction going forward around the exclusivity discussion, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same about that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like she said that she wants to make the right decision, not the fast decision. So, like, I think that we'll probably get more answers probably at the Xbox showcase when it comes out.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm, and as I said, I'm keeping an open mind because, yes, even though I now game primarily on PC these days, I am still somebody that spent over 20 years gaming on the Xbox platform, you know?
Yeah.
And I really do like the Xbox platform and I want to see it succeed. And I am of the belief that unfortunately in the society that we live in, some form of exclusivity around content is necessary to be very successful. Like I look at things like Netflix and Amazon and HBO and all these services, right? You can eventually buy that content in other places. But they always allow you to have some exclusivity on it if you sign up to that service or if you have that thing, right? And I think that you're never going to be able to train society to not have the expectation of at least some exclusive content when they buy into something.
Yeah, I think that they will, like, again, they Asha is basically doing everything to kind of like put out the fires, and
Yes.
now basically rebuilding it will require certain pillars that will help define Xbox and that will be exclusive games. I think we will get back to certain aspects of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like the future of Gears, the future of Halo, the future of whatever could be exclusive.
Yeah.
And then like games that offer multiplayer components or a multiplayer only,
Yes.
I think could eventually see something like that. But again, like I think Forza Horizon 6 will show up on there. I think
Yeah.
Forza Horizon 7, if it eventually comes up, I think will show up there. I think they'll just have time exclusive. And then like the big projects that they're working on, you know, the stuff that is from their major studios, depending on the contracts they've had, like through Bethesda and through Activision
Yeah.
and whatever deals that they've made way in advance, we
Yeah.
could be still seeing a full generation of console where those deals are still part of it. Call of Duty obviously is going to be
Yeah.
forever everywhere, but
Yes. Yeah.
you know,
I did see that's as a final point on this. I saw something recently, and it was one of the analysts who basically said that, in their opinion, what they should do is for the rest of this generation, stick to the multi platform thing because moving back to exclusivity immediately is going to make little to no difference anyway at this point because this generation's kind of done and dusted for them at least. But what they said they should do is provide a very strong and kind of public signal of, hey, going forward into next generation, if they are planning to go back to exclusives, they should say, once we get to next generation, we're going to return to, you know, what Xbox is. And I think that while I don't necessarily agree that they should wait to at least implement the return of exclusives if that's the way they go, I can understand the thinking around that. Because if you go into launching a new platform saying, hey, we actually have exclusive content back again, that could be quite a strong selling point for them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's going
I
to be
think we'll get.
interesting to see.
I think we'll get more answers once Project Helix is kind of like, you know, kind of fully shown off, because you've
Absolutely.
likely got like, you know, the coalition has shown that they can make several things kind of at once. So I think we're going
Mm-hmm.
to see like some pretty big things, and we might even,
Yes.
you know, when we get a good look at, you know, E-Day, we might even get a Project Helix
Yeah.
upgrade look at
Well, I
E-Day.
mean,
And
E-Day is getting its own section
yeah,
of the summer game show, right?
yeah,
So that's going to be very interesting to see, and I do look forward to seeing that game. But for now, I believe we have some more news to talk about today.
we does. Let me bring it up here. So this one's kind of interesting. Two Nintendo customers, just two, have filed a class action lawsuit against Nintendo, alleging the firm intends to benefit by both raising prices for consumers while seeking compensation from the US government. Last month, Nintendo of America filed a lawsuit against the US government over the initiation and administration of unlawful trade measures last year, asking the US Court of International Trade to refund the tariffs paid with interest since they were imposed. The filing accused various US government agencies of collecting more than 200 billion in tariffs on imports from nearly all countries. Now, in a new court filing reported by GameFile, the lawsuit alleges that Nintendo's recovery of tariffs would constitute unjust enrichment and violate Washington state consumer protection laws. Unless restrained by this court, Nintendo stands to recover the same tariff payments twice, once from consumers through higher prices and again through the federal government through tariff refunds, including interest paid by the government on those funds, the lawsuit claims. The claimants, Jeffrey Hoffert of California and Washington-based Prashant Sharan, filed their suit in Washington on behalf of American consumers who purchased tariff-affected Nintendo products between February 1st and February 24th, 2026. Game Industry Biz has reached out to Nintendo for comment. Nintendo is one of over 1,000 companies currently suing the U.S. government over tariffs alongside companies such as FedEx and Costco. So yes, I definitely see where these guys are coming from in terms of like Nintendo essentially, is getting this extra money because of the tariffs or whatever. And then if they get the refunds, they're getting that back again. So I get it. I definitely get, where they're kind of coming from. I don't think they have a chance of really winning this.
No chance in hell. Like, I understand the complaint, and I think that in an ideal world, and in a world where it wasn't just about making money and it was about doing the right thing, then perhaps they would win here. But in the real world, there's no chance. Like, there's basically zero chance that they're successful here. So I can understand it, and I wish them the best, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, Nintendo has very, very good lawyers.
Yes.
All right, so I really hope this is the last we hear of this, but a group of employees at Mind's Eye Studio Build a Rocket Boy have started legal proceedings against management over alleged data privacy violations. As reported by game developer, the staff, led by members of the IWGB Game Workers Union, claimed that management installed surveillance software called Terramind onto their hardware and weren't transparent about what data it was storing. The union says that the Terramind software was removed from employee devices in March following a collective grievance against the company was signed by 40 employees. It's alleged, however, that management refuses to disclose what data was collected from the employees and how that data was stored, as well as the reason for the installation in the first place. Terramind's official website says the AI-powered software enables proactive protection against insider threats, data breaches, productivity inefficiencies, and compliance challenges. In a statement about the legal action, the IWGB Workers Union said it alleges that BRARB's use of the software violates both data protection laws and the workforce's basic dignity, exceeding the legitimate remit of workers, monitoring workers' productivity, or safeguarding the company's security by recording individuals in their homes and without consent. Finally, in an internal meeting which was leaked to the press, bosses Mark Gerhard and Leslie Benzies confirmed that the software Terramind had been installed without workers' knowledge. It added, the program tracks users' keystrokes, records screen activity, and captures microphone audio. This is the second instance of the IWGB filing legal action against Build a Rocket Boy. The first was announced in October 25, where it was accused the studio of failure to carry out fair consultation ahead of redundancies, as well as multiple cases of unfair dismissal, estimating that a UK majority of 250 to 300 workers across the company had been laid off. So, like it's almost like this whole thing is just blowing up in their face big time. I mean, first they talk about like that the game was like sabotaged and whatnot. Like, I can't wait to see how the Terramind stuff focuses into that mission that they're going to be putting in to the game. But again, like this is so stupid, right?
Yeah, it
Like
is. It
like
is.
they put this software on people's computers, some of them that were at home, you know,
Without permission.
without
Like,
permission. Like there's data privacy breaches and concerns here and stuff. So I mean, like
yeah.
I could see honestly the workers essentially having like a class action lawsuit
Yeah.
against Build a
They
Rocket Boy,
they
and then that company
probably
is
should
completely goes
sue
under.
them. They
Yeah, they
probably
literally
should sue
really
them,
go.
you know?
Yeah, they probably put it on my computer. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe the game is is the software. It's just like
Maybe my side's installed on my computer and I just don't know yet.
true, true.
No.
But yeah, it's what I will say is the entire history of this game is very disappointing to me because the people behind this game and even down to some of the kind of lower employees at the studio came from a place where they should have been capable of making a very good game.
Yeah.
And the more and more I hear about it, it kind of just seems like they couldn't get out of their own way at times, and they made it more difficult for themselves than it needed to be. And based on everything we're hearing now, I'm not surprised that IO Interactive dropped them, right? Like IO was their publisher. It was the first time that IO had ever published a game for any other
And the last
studio.
time they'll ever do it again.
like you know, it's very, very disappointing. I think that if I was one of these people, I would be looking to speak to a lawyer and see if there was some sort of legal action that is worth taking, because it certainly sounds like there is, you know. So yeah, but let's hope that I'm not hopeful for it, but let's hope that this is the last time we hear about Mind's Eye, at least in a very negative light. You know, like if we hear about Mind's Eye again, I'd love to hear it being something really good, like a 2.0 launch of the game that, you know, whatever. But yeah, I'm at this point, I'm kind of over Mind's Eye, you know. So it is what it is. Before we move on to what we've been playing, I do want to add one little bit of news here, just because it. Although we knew it was coming, it was quite big this week of Ubisoft finally showing off Black Flag Resynced.
Yeah, I had that on there, and then the page started doing these like weird like virus scan things, and I'm like, what is going on with this stuff? I'm like, I'm gonna scrap this. This is just like
Yeah,
everything is telling me not to cover it. Yeah, it looks really good.
it does.
You know, like, and again, it's one of the worst kept
Yeah.
secrets.
And apparently, so I heard from somebody, and I think Mr. Matty said it as well, that even in the like behind closed doors hands off preview thing they did, where they showed people this presentation early, they actually said, hey, we know this is the worst kept secret in the industry. Like, people have known about this game for literally years, you know? It's so it is what I will say, there's a couple of things I want to highlight with it. They were very clear that this is not an RPG. This is a remake, but it's not going into the RPG style. It's still maintaining the action adventure style of the original release. But they have sort of revamped the combat to make it play slightly differently and make it a bit more free flowing. They've updated the parkour to bring it more in line with what we have seen in Assassin's Creed Shadows, but also maintaining all of the original moves from Black Flag, the original release. And then they've done other quality of life things, such as, you know, adding the ability to crouch at any time during stealth, which is something the newer games have done, but the older games didn't do. They've also changed how the tailing missions work, where if you get spotted, you now don't instantly fail the mission. The objective just sort of changes slightly. So that's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, most interesting of all, they've added new companions, each of whom will have a backstory, and they've added new cutscenes to fill out the backstories of certain characters and certain relationships in the main story itself. So nothing from the main story is actually changing, but they have added things to it to hopefully improve that story even further. And I think I heard somewhere this might have come from Mr. Matty, so if it did, go and check him out. But he said, I believe, that he was told in the preview they've added around 6 to 8 hours of additional like story based content for you to play, whether that be more side stuff or extra cutscenes within the main story itself. And it's coming quite soon, July the 9th, which, you know, is only a few months away. And I think that, to be honest, this game, especially at the price point it's at, because they're not selling it at full AAA, they're selling it at what I like to call AAA price from when the game originally launched. You know, which is nice. And I think this is probably a layup for Ubisoft. Like, it's quite hard to get a remake of arguably people's favorite Assassin's Creed ever wrong, right? You kind of just have to do what it seems like they've done, which is stay true to it, but make quality of life improvements to make it feel more modern. So we'll see how it pans out. I'm looking forward to hopefully checking it out. And yeah, I think, you know, good announcement. Although it was a terribly kept secret, it was nice to sort of finally see it in action. And yeah, I think that was probably the biggest piece of news from this week outside of Xbox, really. So there we go. I think we've covered most of the news now. But let's get into what we've been playing.
Sure.
And Jeff, I will let you go first because you've been playing something that I haven't had the chance to try yet, but you tell me it's very good.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just working on the thumbnail. Yeah. So I've put a couple hours into Kiln, and it is really fun. Like I was expecting it to be fairly good. Like, you know, the personality that Double Fine kind of brings to their games, and this is very different because this is almost like a live service multiplayer game because they're going to be adding maps and all sorts of stuff. But basically what it is that it is a 4-on-4 game where essentially you are taking water to their kiln and destroying their kiln. It has 3 lives. And then whoever succeeds in that wins the round. But you play as these little spirit guys that you design. You design what their eyes look like, you design what their eyebrows look like, and then you design what kind of butt they have.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a very strong emphasis on the butt. It's a very like Ren and Stimpy kind of butt type of thing that they're doing. And then after that, you then craft your pot from a variety of different things. You go in, you level up, you get more pieces that you can buy to then make your pot look different.
I mean, I have to ask the question, has anyone managed to make a penis pot yet? Because someone would have tried, surely.
I don't think you really can, other than just kind of going like this and then straight up. But I haven't seen any really, like there hasn't been that kind of stuff. They do have some pretty good controls on what your limits are. So for example, if you have your pot and your little guy is right here, you can't put a spout below him.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So you can't give him like the penis pretty much. Like you can't do that. So they do have some censoring things on kind of like how.
So they sort of have certain safeguards in place. That's good. That's good to hear because I imagine this game is going to attract a younger audience just based on its aesthetic and its game type.
the nice thing I like about this game is that it feels very casual in its multiplayer. It doesn't feel like it's forced or that there's tryhards or there's anything like that. It feels very relaxed,
Although
very
Jeff might
casual.
be a tryhard because apparently he's really good at the
I'm
game.
very good at this game. Like every single match so far, I've had as many like quench points as the entire other team.
Oh wow.
So I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. But the one thing I
So
like is
Jeff
that
is the tryhard. That's why there are no other
there's none.
tryhards.
There's just me. No, like you, I believe the hub location, I think it's called the Wedge. I have to confirm that. Um, but you get this basically little area that you can go around in, and there's areas that kind of unlock. And I'm not at one area where I still haven't unlocked that. But it's got these little pedestals, and the pedestals are the vessel, are some vessels that other players who are in your active space are there. So if you go over to one of them and it has parts and pieces you've never seen before, you can grab it and add it to your collection. Now you can't add the pieces, you have to
Okay.
unlock those, but it allows you to unlock other pieces. So if you're like, oh, hey, I really like this one that I saw in this prior match, it might show up on the pedestal, and then you can take it, add it to your collection, and then you can put it on your shelf, which is your three most used ones that you can bring into battle, and then you can swap to them when you die. So I usually recommend having a small, medium, and large guy, so then you can kind of cover all your bases, because if
Yes.
everybody goes in large, everybody's basically a glass cannon. They can hold a shit ton of water, but they don't have the health to back it up. Where if you have holding
Yeah.
very little water, you have a lot of strength or a lot of
Okay,
health.
that makes sense. That makes
So,
sense.
yeah, so I have some that kind of sit in the balance of where they carry a lot of water, but they got a good amount of health. And there's some times where I've got like an 8 or 9, 10 like kill streak going. And I really wish that there were like uh, MVPs or play of the games or things like that at the end of the match to kind of incentivize you to do really good. Because there's times where we won and it'll be like 150 for this guy, 850 for me, and then 0 and 0 for my other teammates because they just went and started smashing people. So I kind of wish that there were like plays of the games and
Something to
things like that.
incentivize you to actually do well in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like it does very well, but it's very casual in kind of how it approaches everything. Like the story is that starts off is very casual of this like deity basically who takes all these spirits and gives them the ability to craft these pots and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff's fun. I think the acting is really fun. Every time you go up to her in a new pot, she's like, "Ooh, is that a new lid?" Like all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. So she communicates. She puts this like dog out on there, and you buy stuff from the dog. When you level up, you unlock things like new
Nice.
handles, new stuff. I like dipping the pots because you can like dip them manually, so you can do like half black and then go pink and then go
That's
white,
cool. That's
and all
cool.
the colors and all of the pieces you get are finite. You get like 4 or 5, and then you use points to refresh what you own, and then more points to
Okay.
buy stuff you don't own.
Nice. Okay. So from what you're telling me and from everything you've just said, because I obviously haven't tried it out for myself yet, but it is on Game Pass, so if people have that service, they absolutely should. But from what you're telling me, it is a very double fine game still.
Yeah, and like this, like again, like they've been working on this for, I think it was first shown off. Well, I mean, here's the thing: it was shown off as a prototype during the Amnesia Fortnite, like 6, 7, 8 years ago. When they were
Yes.
actually working on it, and then now it's become a game. So again, like this is one of those things where they're like, "Hey, put a pin on this. We're going to revisit it. We're going to come back, make a full game." And they already have a roadmap of like new map this month, new character or whatever. Like they
Yeah.
have plans to back this up, and I
Yeah.
hope they do, because this is such a fun multiplayer game that honestly I just want small little adjustments made,
Yeah.
like just small little
Hmm.
stuff, because like they need more maps first of all, and some of the maps are really really good because you can roll, like you can turn on your side and roll, so you want to make sure you have like the ability to actually roll.
Okay.
Where if
Yeah.
you make a weird shaped one and it's misformed and stuff, it's going to roll like weird. And then, you need to have good momentum going for that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
it has been absolutely so much fun.
Good. Good. I look forward to checking it out when I have a bit more time. Because right now I'm sort of trying to catch up on certain things. I still need to write my replaced review because I have finished the game now, but something came up that was a little bit more pressing. And at the time of this episode going out, you can go and see on the outerhaven.net that last week I was invited to a hands-on preview event for the upcoming Directive 8020 from Supermassive, the team behind games like The Quarry and the Dark Pictures anthology and many other horror things that you can think of. Little Nightmares 1 and 2. And this one stars another British actress, Lashana Lynch, she was in James Bond. She was in the last James Bond movie, and she's also been in several TV shows here in Britain.
Yeah, she played the Captain Marvel alternative, I think.
She did, yes.
Yeah.
So she is a very, very good actress, and she's one of the bigger stars that they've had involved in their games, I would say, because normally they'll have someone involved in their games that then ends up becoming a much bigger star later down the line.
Yeah.
Like I remember they had Jessie Buckley in one of their games, and we now look at it and it's like Jessie Buckley has won an Oscar, so it's they have several different people in their games over the years. But what I like about this was originally meant to be the start of season 2 of the Dark Pictures anthology, but their plan for the game and their ideas for the game outgrew a smaller anthology type of game that those games normally are. So it ended up becoming its own standalone thing. And it still has some of the Dark Pictures stuff in there. Like some of the cast are the same people you would see in those other games. Things like that. There are things to tie into it still. And you're primarily still making choices. But the gameplay feels so much more active. And what I mean by that is you're walking around and let's say that you get spotted by an enemy, right? Because you're on this, let's say you're on a spaceship, right? And something's gone wrong. And the section that I got to play in this preview, you're basically looking for a member of your crew in a certain area of the ship where this weird stuff is growing, right?
Yeah.
And this stuff infects people. And so you've got people walking around this ship looking for you. So you're going in stealth, you're crouching, you're going behind cover. And if you get spotted, you've got like a little stun gun thing that you can use to stun them and get away. There's like a ping system to help you keep track of where your objective is, which is something they haven't had in the other games before. So there's a lot of quality of life things, but they haven't done any of these things at the expense of what they do really well, if that makes sense, which is the games still look great. They have amazing the audio design. Like in a horror, you sometimes want it to make you jump, right? And the funny thing was the audio design in this game, at least from the section I played, was so good that even just certain audio things were making me jump. And that, to me, was really clever design.
Yeah.
I like that they've kept that same level of presentation, the same focus on choices, and when you make choices, you're making choices as various different members of the cast, right?
Yeah.
And when you make choices, as with the Dark Pictures games, these characters get traits and it affects them, and other characters will remember choices they made. Like, for example, in my gameplay, which I will hopefully be able to put up on the Outer Havens YouTube channel at some point, so keep an eye out for that. But in my gameplay, there's a section where you can choose between basically taking this gun with you or leaving the gun behind, because there could be some issues if you fire a gun on a spaceship, right?
Yeah.
However, I took the gun with me, and it ended up, because I ended up getting caught in a certain situation where I may not have gotten caught if I did something else. The gun actually ended up saving one of the characters' lives, you know?
Okay.
And so it was that kind of thing of like, that could have gone very differently because I might have taken the gun and never needed the gun anyway. I might have not taken the gun and needed it, and then who knows what would have happened after that. And what I liked about this preview, it was only around 30 to 45 minutes of gameplay.
Okay.
But when you finished it, they were like, "Hey, you can go back and play it again if you want to make some different choices and see the difference." And it's like, so I think they're quite confident that there are a lot of permutations here as well of
Yeah.
how the adventure itself can go.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm just impressed that they've managed to add quality of life things to the game itself, right? And add things to make it more active. So for example, there's a mini game where you're picking a lock on a door, and these like circles go round, and you have to press a button to stop them at a certain point to pick the lock.
Yeah.
But as you're doing that, they get faster and faster, and things like that, depending on the situation you're in.
Yeah.
And it's like, but rather than you pressing a button and the character just doing it, you're actively engaging in that element of gameplay, you know? And I think that that's something that these types of choose your own adventure horror games often miss. But adding that layer of interactivity actually makes the whole experience more tense and more engaging. So I'm quite confident from what I've played that if you like the other supermassive titles like the Dark Pictures anthology, like the Quarry, etc., Directive 8020 is looking like a good evolution of those kinds of games.
It does look pretty interesting. Comes out of my birthday. So
Nice.
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Nice. But yeah, so I look forward to checking out more of that. I'm hoping to review it for the Outer Haven, and hopefully we can get access to it here at Analog Stick Gaming as well.
Yeah,
I have a pretty good contact.
Yeah, we've been covering the news for it, and it does sound like I probably will get access to it. So we'll definitely take a look at it.
Nice, nice. And there is, of course, I must mention, I didn't get to check it out, but I do know that there is a multiplayer mode in the game still. So there is still some form of multiplayer in this game, like they have had in their previous titles, I would assume. So look out for that, I suppose. I can't tell you anything about it. I didn't see how it worked myself. But for people who want to know, yes, it is in there. There is some form of multiplayer. And the game's coming out very, very soon, only a couple of weeks away. So, look out for that one, I suppose. But Jeff, you've also had the pleasure of not only, well, you've played something else as well, but you've also had the chance to try out some really cool tech, which I am hoping to get my hands on, but I haven't yet. So talk to me about this technology, Jeff.
Yeah, so the review is going to be going out tomorrow, but I mean, there's no embargo really because like you can buy these products basically right now. But Vitcher sent me the Beast glasses. So these are the brand new XR glasses that are available through Vitcher. And they sent me basically a bunch of stuff. I got sent the 8BitDo PC controller that is very Xbox coded, but oddly doesn't work on Xbox. I also got the Switch 8BitDo as well too. They sent me the mobile controller where you can slide your phone into it. They sent me the mobile dock, which has an HDMI slot on it, and then the glasses
Nice.
slot, so you can use this as a power bank and bring your Switch with you, and then plug your Switch into it. You can plug PlayStation and Xbox, Steam Deck, basically anything you want into this, and it will then send it to the glasses via the cable. Um, so the glasses are really nice. They basically have a you can switch out the nose pieces. So if these are too stubby for you, or you want different ones, you can change those out. If you want, you can also order prescription lenses and swap those out for these guys as well too. I'm going to see if I can get prescription lenses for Rebecca so she can try these glasses as well. And the nice thing about these things as well too is it doesn't have the collapsible magnetic USB attachment anymore. Now it's an actual, like, you take the cable and you basically just plug the USB into the end.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So basically you've got basically a button here, and then volume sliders, and then a button there and other volume sliders. And
Nice.
basically you'll hold press to get a menu, or in this case on this side you'll hold press and it will lock the screen. You get 3 different view angles. You basically get one where it will just move with the glasses and constantly stay in front of you. There's one where it will lock the screen in front of you, and then you see the largest portion of the screen that you're looking at. So if you need to see your menus at the bottom, you'll have to look down because you won't see them in your field of vision. And
Okay.
then it's got one
Okay.
where it'll slowly follow around. I do like locking the screen, just because it doesn't feel like VR in that aspect, and
Yeah.
you don't get that motion sickness out of it.
Yeah.
It grants us 174-inch Sony panel OLED TV screen essentially in front of your eyes, so it's massive viewing. You can change how far back it goes.
Have you played anything on it?
Yes. So I've played Mouse PI. I pretty much wrapped up the rest of the game playing on the glasses.
Nice.
I've also played Smash It Wild on here. I've played various Xbox things. I played Marvel Rivals on here. I
Nice.
played Replaced on here.
Nice. So when you're wearing those, what is the gaming experience like?
It's
How does it feel?
basically just like seeing a TV screen in front of you, except you have that black around the screen, so it feels like you're at a movie theater or something like that.
Nice.
And
Nice.
the glasses
That sounds
are
great.
like, they are super comfy. I can't really wear them because my headset right now, but they're nice. Like they're really good. They've got the
So
ability.
they don't feel too heavy either.
No, not at all. I think they're like 8 grams or something. Like they're not
Okay.
much at all. And the nice thing about it is you can tilt these. So if you want it just a little bit lower, you can do that. The
That's
sound
really
audio
cool.
is absolutely fantastic on these things. Like they
Nice.
use Harman audio effects speakers. They're
Nice.
these things are great. Like, again,
Yeah.
this is the only XR glasses I've ever tried. So I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe the Luma Pro or the Luma Ultra are better, but they're around this same price range. Like the Luma Pro is $50 cheaper US. The Luma Ultra, the newest one, they're $50 more. You can also get, if you want the Luma Ultra and you want the Cyberpunk glasses, they look sick as fuck. They're basically around this price. So these are about, I think, like 550 US.
Yeah.
This thing's about $100. This is what you need for the Switch. Now they also sent me the Switch mount, which allows me to clip this on the back of the Switch and then have it portable there.
That's cool.
But you can plug this thing, because of this, you
Yeah.
can plug these into anything,
That's cool. That's
and it
cool.
just
I
makes
do
these
want to
screens, and it's
say,
OLED.
obviously, massive thank you to the company for sending them to Jeff. We do really appreciate it. We look forward to, providing that coverage. And as a sneaky little thing for people, if you're looking at buying these things, maybe wait a little while because we might have a special code for you soon, or
Yeah.
link where you might be able to get some sort of special discount.
And the
So
nice thing about it is, if you buy glasses through the link that we will have it at some point, like once we kind of put the concrete details on everything regarding that, we would earn a commission on the glasses.
yes.
So that's the one thing that's nice. And here's the thing: these things are fantastic. Like if you are on long flights, if you just want to go to the park, if you are on a work break, you can pop these guys out, and basically all you do to get this thing going on the Switch is you basically attach this guy right here. Once I unplug it from my mouse, it's charging.
Here.
And then
Jeff
you
is going
basically
to show
put this guy basically right into the glasses portion of this guy right here. It's got a pair of glasses on each one. So two people with two glasses can watch the same stuff. And then basically you take the Switch, you plug it into here. That's it. These things are powered off the Switch, powered off this. This gets into the Switch, and this powers everything.
Wow.
So it is remarkably simple to get these going. It is absolutely amazing tech. Like it really, like when people think smart glasses, especially for something like that, they think VR, and they're completely different technologies. It's how you consume entertainment that's very different. VR are 3D worlds around you that you inhabit. This is literally just the equivalent of taking a 175-inch TV and slapping it on your forehead.
It's basically having a portable screen with you.
It is. And it's in the clarity on the screen is really nice. I've attached it to my laptop. I've attached it to the phone thing. I was playing the new Division game because it allows for controller support. So
nice.
That was really good. Nice. So I was playing that with that attachment. Let me grab it here. It is literally right here.
That is cool. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you could.
The Switch add-on basically. So you would just essentially put
your Switch in and then put the other, yeah,
you just pop that in there and then put the Switch on there and you're good to go.
That's cool.
And then they also sent this guy, which allows you to slide a phone in there and whatnot. And this was super easy to set up. Like honestly, I hit a button, it connected Bluetooth, and boom, done.
Nice.
It worked extremely good. And
again, thank you to the company, because they didn't only send us the glasses, they sent all the other stuff as well. And I might even be getting my own hands on the glasses soon, so I'll give you some impressions of those when I do. But what I do want to make very clear is we're not just saying these glasses are good just because, hey, we might have a link soon. We don't do that.
Like I've got complaints for the glasses for sure. And all that's basically in the review. The menu is not terribly intuitive. Like for example, you can't back out or change a tab in the menu. You have to let it fade out, then go back in and select a different tab.
Okay.
That's the one thing I don't like. I also like it says it's 58 degrees of FOV, but if you're looking at the right side of the screen with the left eye, it'll cut off at a certain point, where if you look at the right screen with the right eye, you have more visible range. So like there are little things on the glasses that I'm not terribly fond of.
Yes.
But again, like these things are fantastic. They come with a really nice durable carrying case that supports the cable as well too, which is really good. They sent a bunch of stickers, little pins, and all that kind of stuff, which is super fun.
So eventually, Jeff's gonna wear the glasses.
Right now,
Jeff's gonna wear the glasses while doing the podcast.
I was thinking of doing that because it actually shows both screens. No, like these things are absolutely fantastic. If you're going to get a pair of XR glasses, the Beast right now is hands down. Like they've increased, like, so the previous glasses, they used to have these little myopia dials, so that you could, if you had a prescription, you could just set it to that, it would work. The problem with that is that interfered with the 3D OF, which is the degrees of freedom. So it basically, there's a lot of hardware tech that goes into the smoothing and everything that vision does, that they had to remove it. But if you need a prescribed lenses, you get those. They're like $80, and they will ship them out to you.
Yes.
So you do have the options if you have it, but they were probably taking a look at going, hey, the amount of people that actually use this, that have a prescription, probably not massive enough that they can still offer those lenses and still get that customer base. Because again, all of their accessories are on sale right now, which is really, really good.
And also what I would say is, compared to some glasses of this type, They are, don't get me wrong, these are still expensive, but they are more affordable than a lot of the competition that I've seen. So, it's they are definitely worth considering.
Yeah, I was taking a look at some price comparisons, and basically, if you take the lenses, this kit, and even some of the prescription stuff, whatever, it was still cheaper than those other ones, and it offered more features. Like it offered more
Yes.
flexibility in what you're playing.
Yeah.
Because the thing I like about these guys is you can plug it into literally anything that has an HDMI out, and you will get the screen clarity on it. Like I watched the final battle in Endgame because I have it digital on my Xbox. I watched
Nice.
that whole scene on the glasses, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah, this is so good." But yeah, like I basically went through as much as I could on this kind of stuff. Like
Fantastic.
I'm probably going to play Saros like on these glasses when it
Yeah.
launches next
And
week.
and again, the funniest thing about this, just for full openness with our audience, I know that when Jeff was originally reached out to, he didn't even think this was real.
No, I
Like,
thought it was all bullshit. Like this third party company who represents them saying, "Hey, we see that you do hardware reviews. Would you like to check out these glasses?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, okay." And then
yeah.
they're like, "Yeah, here's your here, just gave you address. We can ship this." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And then they're like, "Hey, the glasses shipped," and I'm like, "Wait, what? What?" And then
And
all
the,
of a sudden it's like, your glasses have been delivered, and Becky's like, "Hey, yeah,
and
there's this
earlier
big,
than
huge,
this
heavy
as well.
box," and I'm like, holy shit, this is real.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like like a shout out to Vitcher, and especially the third party company that handles their PR and
Yeah.
their everything
Yeah.
through them. Thank you very much for the opportunity to check out these
Absolutely.
glasses. They are absolutely fantastic piece of technology. The review will be out tomorrow, which is basically probably the time that this goes out.
When you're seeing this, yeah, I will link the review for that below. We normally link game reviews, but we'll link the glasses review below for you to check us out. And what I would say is if there are any other companies that come across this who want to potentially send us some hardware to review, please reach out because we're looking to do more and more hardware reviews all
I
of
will
the
review
time.
any high tech PC you send me.
But yes, other than that, before we finish off here, Jeff, you have played one more thing. So tell me
Yeah.
about it.
So I wasn't too sure if I was going to create content for it just because it's a very simple PC. It's a very update for Jotun Slayer. And let me get the full title of it here. The Jotun Slayer Hordes of Hell.
Yes.
I reviewed this game when it first came out, both early access and the final release. I loved it. It's great. It's one of my favorite survivors kind of games. It basically looks like Vampire Survivors if it was made in the Diablo 4 engine. Like it looks
Yeah.
really good. It feels good. It's not wildly balls out crazy like the Vampire Survivors games where it's just an acid trip of pixels. This is more controlled, more basic, but it's still super fun. And they added Conan.
Nice. Nice.
Where does that conversation start between like the people that own Conan? Like that is such a weird thing, right?
It is.
And
That is a really weird
I
thing.
saw that they were adding Conan, and I'm like, I need this. Like this sounds so cool. And like you
Yeah.
even have like Stygia, like you even have like his the land that he's from. And they say that this was a black land of sorcery and nameless horror, set in the old serpent, men said banished long ago from the Hyborian races, yet lurked in the shadows of the cryptic temples, and awful and mysterious were the deeds done in the nighted shrines. Robert E. Howard. So Conan basically has his Cimmerian swords. You also have like the Artonian swords. You have the Necromancer swords. That's probably my preference just because of the name alone. You have the Shemite swords. You have the Turanian swords, the Nemedian swords. And then you have the War Chief harness. You've got the Overlord's armor. You got the Warrior King's bronze, which just makes them look badass. You've got the harness as well, and you have a ton of skills that you can unlock for him as well too. So how this game works essentially is you pick from the available gods or the player character. And the player character will have his own things, like Conan will spin his axes around, or whatever the case is. But you also have the new gods that have been kind of added. The Archmage is not out yet, or sorry, it is. You have to complete Helheim on normal difficulty. That's it. But you also have the Kinslayer, which is a new one that was added. But Conan himself has a ton of different abilities, like rotates 4 short swords and throws blades around. Lets loose a conical battle roar that can fear enemies hit. Let loose a battle roar that can stun enemies as well too. A storm of successive slashes. Attacks with increasingly larger greatsword after each overhead strike with an executing finale. It's neat. This stage is cool because it's got these underground points that eventually
Oh,
go into an
nice.
underground sewer or ruins or whatever, and then you end up fighting the boss there. It's this big hulking thing, and
Nice.
you find cats. I don't know if Conan is a cat lover. I don't know if that's something, but there's a mission to find cats. You
Maybe he
find cats.
is.
I have no idea. But this DLC is very fun. It's very simple. It's
Yeah.
Conan, it's his own feature set, and then you basically have his own level, which is a pretty decent level. It's a little basic on the upper layer, but the lower layer is a little bit more fun with kind of what you have available to you, the limits of where you can go. What if you're getting swamped, you can go out the one side and then go back around, collect treasure, do everything. It is all the Joan Slayer's Hordes of Hell stuff that's super fun, but they added Conan, which is very cool because this is the second piece of Conan media that we've had in gaming with him being added on Mortal Kombat. So they're doing some pretty good stuff. Like there was a cool Conan game back in the day with Ron Perlman as Conan. That's actually pretty decent. It's pretty good. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of excited that like if the team that made this suddenly goes, hey,
Yeah.
can we make a Conan Diablo game? And then
That
this
would be
was their
really cool.
introduction to getting the Conan stuff, saying we're going to add him in here, see how it plays, and then they're like, well, let's just release this. And
Yeah.
so if they ever made like a Path of Exile or a Diablo version of Conan, there's a lot of lore there. There's a lot of enemies and characters and stuff, because like Conan is a
Yeah.
very, very ancient character. You could even have co-op with Red Sonja. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of really, really cool shit that's
Yeah.
going on here. And they even hint at Conan in that awful Red Sonja movie that just came out as well too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, apparently there is supposed to be a new Conan movie coming out in the next few years.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like what happens with the IP. Conan's an IP that I've always been fond of, but
Yeah.
I feel like often gets the short end of the stick.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to hear about this. It
Yeah,
sounds
it's fun.
good to me.
It's cheap too.
And
Like, it's not an expensive DLC or anything like that. Like if you own Joan Slate or you don't, go buy this game. It's very, very fun, and the Conan stuff just makes it even better.
yeah, make sure you check that out. But yeah, before we end here, I'm just gonna say that obviously there's some stuff coming up this week. From me, you will see the Directive 8020 preview over on the Outer Haven. I will link that below because that should be out now by the time you're seeing this episode. And then I will have a preview slash review of early access game going up on Analog Stick Gaming at some point this week. Won't tell you what it is, but it's one that we might be slightly later on, only because Jeff can't run it, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
so I
it
have to
crashes
do it.
every single time I match. So I'm load on Steam Deck and see it. They say not to review it on Steam Deck, but we'll see. But
Yeah.
other previews that have dropped, definitely to give them a little bit of a boost here. Kelvin has checked out the Windrose early access launch. It's a
Nice.
massively popular pirate game. He's loving it so much. He is saying that it's probably the best of its genre. Like it does everything right. It's a fun survival game. It's got very light survival mechanics. So definitely give that a read because that game looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I just put out the demo impressions for Wolfhound, which is made by the team that made Chasm. This is basically if Contra was a Metroidvania,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
that's up
Okay.
there as well. And Kelvin also put up the City States Medieval early access impressions. So definitely take a look at that. And
Nice.
yeah, we're going to be having a lot more early access preview stuff
Yeah.
showing up. If you were,
So,
if you,
and basically, just for clarity on people, like for people who may be wondering why we don't score early access games,
they're
it's
not done yet.
just because it's not the best practice, right? Because by the time the game actually comes out in full release, it can be so different that it's not really fair to even score an early access game, I don't think. And with us being top critic on Open Critic right now, which is, thanks to all of you guys that tune into this and check out our website, thank you very much. We are now a top critic on Open Critic. And as part of that, we want to adhere to their general feeling of you don't review an early access game unless it's very close to the full release of the game.
Yeah.
So the way that we're going to handle that is early access games we will actually put under our preview section, but they are effectively early access reviews of the game. They just won't get a score. And then when the full game comes out, we will revisit them, update anything that we need to update, and give a final score.
That's like what I did with the Mega Man, the Mega Man collection that just came out a little bit ago.
Yeah.
I previewed it. I followed their embargo guidelines for what you could talk about, and then in the review, that was kind of lifted to a certain extent. And I went back to the early access. I added about 4 or 5 paragraphs. I refined some stuff, and then re-released it as a review in the separate review category.
Yes. Yeah. And what I'd say as well is I know that there's a lot of early access games that we don't always hear about. So if there's anything that you think we should check out that's in early access right now, please feel free to point us towards it. And, if it's something that we think is worth checking out, we'll definitely look into it because as we mentioned just now, it's not just me and Jeff on the team anymore. We have Kelvin, we have Rebecca, we have James who helps us out occasionally. And then we have Letitia, who is hoping to help us out more soon, but her actual day job has been very hectic this year so far. So that's been quite difficult. But I think it's going to be a very good time for us, a very good next few months. I personally am looking forward to Forza Horizon 6 in May, and of course 007 First Light as well, which, if you didn't know, got a great trailer this week, the Spycraft trailer. So go and check that out. And until next time, thank you for joining us. We will see you again soon. Goodbye.
Yep.